more and more people now are realizing the benefits that you can derive from introducing flexible working into your business practice. And that's both for the employee and the employer. When I think about flexible working, I think about it at different levels, in three stages basically. The first is people from all walks of life who on a day-to-day basis need some flexibility in terms of how they do their business and how they go to work. And that could be as simple as domestic challenges. It could be as simple as problems getting to work during times of congestion. I think there's a second group then that traditionally we had called them the road warriors, but now we call them mobile workers or knowledge workers. And that's individuals who part of their role in life is to be on the road. It's salespeople, consultants, accountants, busy executives, and spend a lot of time in different locations. So they absolutely need to be on the road. And then I think there's a third model which is developing mainly in larger businesses, larger corporates, and that's flexibility within the actual workplace itself, where people now are beginning to hot desk and no longer have one established desk, but move around from place to place. So when I think about the world of flexible working, that's how I see it developing and progressing. I think small businesses can gain competitive advantage from flexible working in two easy areas. The first one is in the area of helping employees get a work-life balance. So it keeps employees motivated. I saw a piece of research, it was a European piece of research, which talked about flexible working and the impact on motivation. And it showed that, I believe the figure was in the region of 50% more productive. So employees who were on flexible working delivered a 50% productivity gain over those that weren't on flexible working. So that in itself will lead to a competitive advantage just in terms of productivity. I think by having it, it also helps retain good people who understand the business and have grown with the business. A big challenge for any business is the retention of good people. There's always someone else out there looking to take them. And again, by offering flexible working as a benefit, it allows you to do that, to retain people and keep that skill set and understanding within your organisation.
Flexible working is something that really does need to be quite considered, because I think if it's done correctly, it can really be a huge benefit to you. It can mean the difference between getting the right people working for you and the wrong people working for you. But because you give them that flexibility, you know, you will actually then attract people who you do need in your business.
As a business, we don't have a flexible working strategy per se. We, as a fairly innovative agency, have a flexible working arrangement with our staff as a matter of course. So if it's appropriate due to family situation or the demands of their job, that they have the technology that is required for their mobile working, then it's something that we support wholly as a business. Flexible working impacts on our productivity enormously. We, as an agency, work with a number of global brands. The level of communication is really high between us as an agency and them as our clients. And as well as that, the requirements to travel, to meet, and to have constant sort of dialogue between internal stakeholders and external stakeholders is huge. So enabling mobile communications, which essentially allows us to be in contact with these guys at all times, increases our productivity hugely.
I think in the British economy, we've got to think quite seriously about flexible working, and it's for various reasons, but there's one reason that we probably haven't talked about, and that's this work-life balance. And people are so much more aware of that now, and you know, there has been so many sick days because of stress, and all of these sort of things impact on the economy because they cost companies money. And you know, when people are off sick, that costs you a lot of money. And if people are happy and they're working the hours that they can manage to work, equally being productive, it's important there's a two-way thing here, by the way. But I think if you can start to get the work-life balance working, you'll have a happy employee who will then be much more productive for you. So actually the big picture is, yes, it's really, really important, because it will make sure that we stay a strong economy and that we have good workforce in this country.
You know, when you think about the technology that's needed to support flexible working, particularly for small and medium businesses, quite often the small and medium business get a little bit frightened in terms of, okay, do I need to change everything out? And what technology is there to support me? Now again, one of the things companies like T-Mobile can do, we have trained account managers, so there's good expertise and resource there where our guys can go out and sit down with a small business and take them through exactly what they need, and it's specific to their own circumstances. And I think that's the important piece. To get this right, a small business actually needs to think through, what am I trying to achieve? So put a plan in place. And more importantly, nominate someone who's going to look after that. There's plenty of help then to explain the technology that's available. In terms of, is it expensive? Not really. You can start from as simple as having a mobile phone. You think about it, a local tradesperson. In terms of winning business and keeping business, one of the most important things for a tradesperson is being in contact with customers, or customers being able to contact. So as simple as a mobile phone can start you in the world of flexible working. Now you then work through different levels of technology depending on your needs. The second area is email. Most businesses now use email as a basic toolkit in terms of how they run their business. Again, there are very simple, low-cost solutions available for email for small businesses, which allow them to access their email systems when they're away from the office. If you take it through to its next logical step into bigger businesses, then you can have very specific, tailor-made applications to that individual business that help you run the business. So right through the spectrum, end to end, there's different solutions with different costs associated with it. But again, you know, there's plenty of expertise in the marketplace to help with those type of discussions, and companies like T-Mobile can help with that.
Within my business day, I use some really good key devices on a technology level, and one of them is my T-Mobile MDO Vario 2, which is really important to me. It's my mobile phone that in effect syncs to my Windows, so it's just really like being in the office, except that it's out and about with me, and so I can check things like my email, my calendar's synced to it, so I know exactly where I should be. I've got my web on it, I've got things like Word and Excel, which I can use if I need to do. I've often taken it to meetings and actually used it to do my notes straight into a Word document on it, which has been quite useful because then you haven't got bulky pads and folders with you. So I found that very useful.
There needs to be a conscious effort from the management, from any business, once you introduce flexible working. A couple of parts with that. One is trust, in terms of, for many people, having sight of the people that work for them on a day-to-day basis is very comforting, because they can see what's happening and they feel more comfortable. To suddenly let that go requires a level of trust on both parts, that the people are still actively engaged in their work and they're delivering results. I believe that the easiest way to look at that is in the end product. You see the delivery of results. However, that's an important factor. The second factor is to make sure that managers continue to support their employees. Without that support, people who suddenly move from having worked in a busy office environment, as an example, and then being home-based, can feel a little bit isolated. At the outset, they can become isolated, and what they need is constant contact and engagement with the rest of the office to keep them linked in with the business. It's a very important piece, and that comes from the management team in terms of making sure that that approach is there, that people do stay in contact.
The key is to manage it, you know, and there's things like the trust issues, there's things like making sure that you're in touch with them and you communicate with them regularly, and I think certainly on a sales level you've got to make sure they're targeted and they report back to you so that you do actually then see that they are doing something. It doesn't necessarily matter when they do it, as long as they are delivering you some sort of results.